Welcome to the TRIBEvibe. Today we're talking about what is resiliency, and I just want to start off by saying happy Wednesday. I hope you guys have been having a good week so far. I hope this is a good, interesting topic for you. And so I hope we can get some good stuff going today, and you guys can reinforce some things you already knew and learn some new things, because being resilient is major. You know, I talk about all the time about how perspective is everything. Resiliency is big too. So hopefully we can get some good stuff going today, and you guys can learn some stuff. So I want to do our housekeeping things early so that I don't forget, because I like to forget. So if you could do me a favor and go and do what? If you've been watching, you know what I'm about to say. Tag your accountability partner. And then also, I want you to make sure that you like, share, subscribe to everything. Actually, literally take your finger and hit the like button and share button right now for me, so that we can reach one, teach one. We can get as many people on here as we can. And so I need you guys' help, because you know the algorithm don't care what you got. It don't care if it's great, if it's stuff people need to see or not. It cares about how many people like, share, comment, and all that stuff. So I need you guys to go do that for me so we can reach more people. And then also, don't forget to not only just count on social media to do your socialing for you. I also want you to make sure you remember to tell your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your cousins, your auntie and your uncle and them about it, okay? Well, it's a tribe. It's called the TRIBEvibe for a reason. So we want the whole tribe to be here, okay? So I want you guys to make sure that you do that for me. And as I say that, I'm going to go hold myself accountable and click the share button myself. How about that? How about them apples? So anyway, I also wanted to do another little piece of housekeeping and make sure that I tell you guys, or remind you if you were here yesterday, about the sale we're having. 25% off on BlackAmethystNaturals.com. It's our celebration for Juneteenth for the ancestors. And so we got a bunch of we got a bunch of stuff on there. I'm a work in progress. So everything I do is always a work in progress. And like I shared with you guys yesterday, my vision for the business is a really big, complex thing where it's just like a wealth of information and resources and goods and services, like all just, in a nice little stew. Like I'm over here trying to cook a good gumbo, okay? So as of right now, we have some good stuff on the website. We got some really nice skincare products, and we also have some good cultural merchandise and some good branded merchandise. Go rock your Black Amethyst Naturals across your chest. We got some cute stuff going on. But go find you something. There's something on there for you, or it's something on there for a gift. We got family collections, so if you like to match with your peoples, we got something for that. I just told one of my friends from high school, don't at me and don't have her husband at me if she come about that store with matching outfits for the whole family, because I know that ain't everybody's vibe. But there are family collections on there, so if you want to match everybody together, we got that for you too. But I also wanted to point out, so you guys know I've been talking about my background. So I wanted to point out this is actually one of our prints that we have up there for sale right now, and this is called Mother. Just picture Africa. It's called Mother. It all makes sense, right? I ain't got to explain that. So I just got it in the mail. So I stuck it up there as soon as I could. So I'm actually getting some other stuff in here so I can, shameless plug and be like, hey, you like this? Go buy it. Anyway, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget to say that to you guys today. So shameless plug over. We're about to start talking about resiliency as soon as I click share to page. Black Amethyst Naturals. Write something? No, we're not gonna write nothing today. Share and done. All right. So you guys ready to get into it? Resiliency. So the first thing I'm gonna do is tell you the definition. So according to Webster, according to the dictionary, the definition of resiliency is just a little different than the definition of psychological resiliency. So I'm gonna give you both. So the first one is out of the dictionary: the capacity to recover quickly from difficult or tough situations. I changed a little bit of the wording, but that's the gist of it, right? Because resiliency is not only about your mental well-being, but it could also be like your ability to recover from a hard workout and training and stuff like that, right? So it's got some other connotations in there, so it's a little vague, right? But the next definition gonna give you some more goodness, okay? So the psychological definition of resiliency is the process of adapting, mentally or emotionally coping. Oh Lord, y'all, what did I write? Oh, mentally or emotionally coping, and basically being able to address adversity, stress, trauma, tragedy, change, and loss. Right? So that one makes a little bit more sense when we really trying to talk about, what is the meat of resiliency, right? And that's really it. It's just like your ability to process, your ability to adapt mentally and emotionally to cope with adversity, stress, trauma, tragedy, loss, and change, right? So that one is more concise. The other one's a little vague. That one's like really speaking to what we need to talk about. So after I wrote those things down, I was just thinking again yesterday, I shared with you kind of like what my a personal example from my life about what resiliency is, and kind of my personal understanding of it. And as we get into it more today, I was like, you know what? This kind of just rings true. I said yesterday kind of what I felt like was like the segue, the things that segued and they met in the middle and there was resiliency. But I like this too, because I think with resiliency also comes understanding, right? And growth, right? That's kind of where the resiliency really is birthed from. Resiliency isn't a thing that we just all born with. We're not born with the ability to kind of, snap back after a situation happens. That comes with us learning, and hopefully it's incremental learning, right? And hopefully it's not the very most tragic thing that you ever go through in your life is the very first thing you go through. Hopefully you go through something small. That's why people do stuff like get their kids a goldfish, right? And so that they can understand about the processes, in cycles of life. Like, you understand you have to take care of this thing and it needs to be fed and you need to change the water, and you can't just take the fish out the water because that's where it needs to live. And then at some point, because, goldfish can live a long time, but generally speaking, if you got your baby taking care of it, they're not taking care of it that good. So it's going to probably die. And then your child can understand that we have things and we need to treasure them while they're here, because nothing lasts forever. And unfortunately, life is coupled with death. That is what makes life worth living, is that it's not unlimited, right? It's not endless. So we have to understand that is just a natural part of life, and that it's something that we're going to have to be faced with at different times, and something hopefully as small as a lesson with a goldfish, although probably for a child it's fairly devastating, right? But you can, teach them in a small way to deal with a lot of different things in life, right? And so that's kind of what resiliency is, it's like the culmination of all those little small lessons. And so looking at it this way, like time plus patience plus growth, right? That's kind of another kind of like place where different things meet and you find resiliency, right? So I just wanted to say that little piece right there, because I was just like, sometimes the terms that we're talking about can seem big, it can seem kind of hard to be able to like fully digest exactly what it is and know exactly where you should be. And y'all know I love to quote Ayala Van Zandt. But when I was talking to you guys about like walking in your integrity, and how the word integrity, and like I think you can understand what integrity means kind of like on a higher level, but to really sink your teeth into it and check with yourself, because that's what you got to do. You got to check yourself often. And then you also have to make sure that you have other solid people around you that carry the same kind of character understanding to check you too, right? Like I had one of my best friends checking me today. Now I love her, and I'm not sure if I agree with what she was checking me on, but I do agree with the fact that she was checking me. Okay, we don't have to agree on what she's checking me on, but we do very much agree that I need to be checked when she feels like she needs to check me, because that's coming from a place of love, right? And so I think boiling stuff down like this into saying like, okay, time, the intersection of time, patience, and growth is where you can find resiliency. I think it gives you a good like bearing on okay, if I need to check myself and say like, how resilient am I being, or I need to exercise more resiliency in this particular place, then maybe I can start here and say, okay, am I giving enough time to it? Am I giving enough practice to it? Am I giving enough growth to it? Okay. All right. So next thing I wanted to talk about was resiliency in the way of like working through pain. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier. It's really just like the practice part of it, the time part of it, the growth part of it. It is really an exercise for you when you're in those adverse situations for you to use, right? And you guys know I talked about toolkit. I haven't talked about the toolkit in a while, but we're going to talk about the toolkit today. So resiliency is just one of those things that you need to add to your toolkit, because we've said this before and we'll say it again. Life doesn't always hand you, nice things, pretty packaged with a bow on it, and you open it up, it's exactly what you wanted. That's not really how life always works, right? And we know this for facts. You're not always going to get what you want, what you need, when you need it, and when you want it. And so when there are those times where the stress, where the trauma, or the change, or the loss, where those things come in, that's when you need to say, okay, let me move this stuff out the way and pull out my resiliency kit, right? And then you need to figure out the time and the practice and the growth. You need to use those things that you have acquired over a lifetime to be able to be resilient in situations, because it's going to happen. You're going to need to use it. So being cognizant of the practice of it is going to make you even better at doing it. You guys know we talk about this all the time. Meditation is a mental exercise. Anything I talk to you guys about on here, generally speaking, as of right now, because we haven't gotten into the physical side, we'll get there at some point, but as of right now, the majority of what we talk about are mental exercises. Same thing with resiliency. It's a mental exercise, and the more we're cognizant of doing it, it's like training, right? Like, so any of my gym people, when you're training, if you're not training properly, you are going to be doing something, right? You'll be in that gym doing something. You're going to be expending your energy, maybe losing calories, sweating, whatever, paying money to the gym, using your time to go to the gym. But you may not exercise the exact, say you're working on a particular muscle group, you may not be exercising that muscle group fully or properly if you don't do it in the right way. And so making sure that you're cognizant of the fact that you are utilizing resiliency when you are, is you exercising resiliency in the right way. You could still be doing it, but if you're not making sure you take your time, practice and make sure you're aware of the growth of. And then also, you guys know we talk about this all the time, about being mindful and about being in the present moment, and actually really sitting down with yourself and understanding, what are you doing right now? Because if you are in the midst of a loss, trauma, pain, change, tragedy, adversity, if you're in the midst of that, you need to make sure that you are fully aware of the actions and decisions you are making, right? Because we all know those things can be very clouding, right? I'm making up words. It can make your situation very foggy and cloudy, right? And so it's very hard to see exactly what's happening in the midst of those situations. So if you can fall back and say, hey, I know that in the times when I'm going through something the most, I can rely on my resiliency. Like, I can be resilient in these situations, and go back to your understanding of what that means, what it looks like. We'll talk about that more tomorrow on tips and tricks on how to exercise resiliency and how to be more resilient. But if you can fall back on those things in those times, y'all know I tell y'all, like, work smarter, not harder. Don't make things crazy. If you have a cheat sheet, use it, right? That's exactly what this is. Whenever I'm on here talking about this stuff and I'm like, y'all, okay, if you could do this to help this particular situation, and I get real serious with y'all and be like, why not? This is what I mean. Because in times like this, why not? If you got something to fall back on, use it, honey. Don't be making your life more complicated than it needs to be. It's already going to be complicated enough, honey. Don't add nothing to it. It's all right. Okay, I'm done with that point. All right, so then also, another kind of intersection I wanted to talk about was flexibility, adaptability, and perseverance. And using those three things to make sure you're focusing on the tools you have, right? And then also to make sure you're focusing on the strengths you have. And we talked about this too, and it's in the realm or the wheelhouse of working smarter, not harder, but to celebrate your strengths. If you have worked to do something, why in the world would you not use it? And we're talking about mental exercises that are healthy, okay? Because as I said that, I just thought of an example of things that you could work your whole life for that you need to let it go. Go watch the week on letting things go. But in this particular instance, we want to make sure that we focus on those things that we have been working hard for, putting our time, energy, putting our time, our practice, and our growth, like the combination of those things. We want to make sure that we're utilizing those strengths that we have gained through our exercises, right? And so being able to be flexible, adaptable, and to persevere through things. I think it's in the same, it's like working up to being resilient, right? So you understand that you are going to have to be flexible. You understand that you're going to have to be able to adapt. You understand that you're going to have to be able to persevere in order to really realize resilience, right? Are all those words too close together? To like actualize it, to make it a thing, to really be like walking in resilience, you have to exercise flexibility and adaptation and perseverance. You have to exercise those things. And I didn't get it down, but my graduation cap is up there, and literally it says perseverance is key. That's what I decided to put on there because I really believe that. And so in order for you to move all the way up to resiliency, and to make sure that you're really fully walking in that, you also need to make sure that you're exercising those three things. And while you're doing that, you want to utilize your strengths in order to do them more effectively. Smarter, not harder. All right? Okay. All right. So another thing that really is kind of like the crux of resiliency is, and you know what is crazy, because like as I'm talking, like the list is getting longer, right? So I'm gonna run them back for y'all. So I done said time, practice, growth, flexibility, adaptability, perseverance, and now I'm adding confidence and competency. Okay, so that's that's 8 things that I'm telling y'all. And then the stuff that I said yesterday, which I did not write down, and y'all know I'm not going to challenge my brain to tell y'all what I said, because if I had it, I would have said it already when I first brought it up, and I don't have it. So if you want to see what I said yesterday, go listen to that episode. But those things, and you can just probably even more things than I added today that you can add, because resiliency is, like I said, it's flexible. It's very fluid. When you're looking at it, it is something that, you know, bobbing and weaving. Y'all know I say be like water, which is a Bruce Lee quote. Like, I absolutely wholly believe that to my core, because if you really pay attention, you know, to the physical properties, I haven't gotten into the science too much with y'all this week. So here we go with the science a little bit, because y'all know I always tend to fall back over there in that rabbit hole. But if you really like look at the physical properties of water, and you understand like that it molds to whatever container it's in, you know, it's one of the very flexible properties that we have, where it can freeze, and it could be a fluid and a gas, right? And then also like you can have water where like you can physically take your hand and put it through the water, or you can use the water as a drill to cut through stone and other, you know, really hard materials, right? If you don't understand be like water after I just explained all that, you need to be that level of flexible. And when you really get into the groove of being resilient, what you can understand is it requires you to be very flexible. I said flexibility, I said adaptability. Like those things are really in there. And so like the definition of it for yourself, for you personally, because resilience is a personal thing. You find what works for you, what like mantra, what affirmation you need to say when you're going through those things, what practices you need to use, what specific tools, because maybe you got out the wrench, but you need to tighten it or loosen it or whatever, right? You got those things, but you have to find what specifically works for you the best. What works for me is not going to always work for you. So I'm not on here telling y'all this is exactly what I do. I'm just telling y'all more of, you know, the general areas to be in, because you got to find what specifically works for you. It's like a key unlock. So as I'm telling you more things, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Like, okay, she didn't say resiliency was 18 different things, and it really is, and it can be 18 more. And so I just wanted to come in with that aside, because I don't want you guys to get lost and be like, normally she's very concise about what she's saying. Today is not really one of those days. Today is a day where you understand that this is a more fluid thing, and it gets to work for you how it works. Whatever thing I'm telling you resonates the most with you, maybe that's the place that you need to focus on and start. If you don't have a really good deep well of resiliency for yourself, whatever thing I say resonates the most, maybe that's where you should start. Okay? All right. So back to confidence and competency. That's really the part that we were talking about, the growth and learning from the situations, because like we said, resiliency is a practice. It's a culmination of life events that get you to where your personal level of resiliency is, right? And so understanding that being confident, let's go we want to talk about confidence and confidence. They really go together. That's why I got them on here together, because I think confidence denotes a certain level of competence. Now, let's not say that. Okay, hold on, because y'all know everybody that's confident is not also competent. But for some people who really understand what they're talking about, there is a certain level of confidence that comes with competence, right? And if nothing else, it is just purely based on the fact that you have worked hard to come to a level of understanding about something, and the last thing you about to walk around doing is pretending like you don't know what you're talking about, and you done worked hard to do that. But at any rate, those two things go together, and they're really there for you to like fully recognize that this is a journey and it is going to take time. And as you grow, if you're not confident now, as you grow more in your competence, maybe you can exercise more of your confidence. And if you are real confident, then be confident enough to go learn the stuff you need to learn to be more competent. Okay? We're using all the C's today. All right. Okay. All right. Now, the very last thing I want to say is that resiliency is not, I think we talked about some weeks, and I usually don't tell you guys like, oh yes, 33% of the population is well versed in this. I don't ever say that, and I probably ain't never gonna say that to y'all, because I think that's hogwash. To be boiling stuff like this down to numbers of people we think in the population have this or are good at it or whatever. But generally speaking, all of the psychology, like the American here I go trying to recall words I didn't write down. The Psychology Association in America, y'all put them together how they go. It's APA, and I can't remember which word's first and which one's last. But anyway, they all of the different studies and stuff, because clearly, they do this for a living. They serious about their stuff, so they really do study stuff. When they get to talking about it, they try to be about it. And they said that it's very common, and it is, because you find, like we were talking about having a goldfish, how very small things add to your ability to be resilient. So it is totally not a thing that I'm ever sitting on here and being like, oh, okay, you just like don't have no resiliency, like you don't have it at all. That's never going to be true for anybody. It's just about how aware of it are you, how deep is your understanding of, I need to use this in these particular situations, and then also how well versed are you in your understanding of what resiliency looks like for you, and what specific things can you utilize, right? So it's like a very common thing that everybody has resilience in one way or another. So if you ever find yourself feeling like, oh, I'm a little lacking here, or I need to do better with this. Hold on. IG paused on me. Okay. If you ever find that you need to feel a little lacking, or need to feel like you need to do better in a certain situation, just understand that it is a work in progress, and that it's not that you don't have it. It's just that you need to just be a little bit more aware of it, because you do have it. You're exercising resilience in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You just need to make sure that you exercise and using the right tool and the right, bit that goes on the tool to make sure you're working it in the way you need to work it. Okay? All right. So let's get into some benefits. Yeah, like my accent. I don't know what it was. Okay. Let's get into some benefits of resiliency, right? Like actually exercising resiliency and being able to be resilient. Okay. All right. So some benefits are improved learning and schooling achievements. I like them two words ain't go together, but I already had schooling on there, and then achievements needed to come next, but that wouldn't. Anyway. Improve learning and improve schooling, like, you know, that you can go further in your education, because we all know, like I told y'all, the school story. If y'all didn't hear the school story, go listen to the school story. The school story is intense. If you lived through it with me, I love you forever for being there with me, because I know I had to have been grumpy sometimes and disconnected and not available and all those things, because I need to put me through some things. But school can be very taxing, very trying. So we know for a fact that you're going to need to be resilient, especially the longer you get, the more money you got to pay, the more social events you miss, the more life events you put on hold, all that, right? And then you got to be resilient after you get done with school to go fight for the job that you need to get paid for so you can pay back them student loans. That's another week worth of topic. All right, another benefit of being resilient and exercising resiliency in your life is less stress. So y'all know we had a whole week talking about like chronic stress and anxiety and things of that nature. And so we talked about a lot of the health aspects that come along with like chronic stress, and like, you know, things that can be lessened and even alleviated by not holding on to the chronic stress. So obviously sickness, right? So if you're less stressed, you are less, not less likely to get sick per se, but generally speaking, you won't be sick as long if you don't have the higher levels of stress. And then also, you know, when you get to talking about that stuff, and you get to talking about stress and like the negative impacts it has on your body, and then you really understand like that your immune system really is like, I mean, you got your brain, and then like next is your immune system. Your heart's up there somewhere too, but I mean, your heart isn't as complex. It's literally just a muscle pumping. But like your immune system and your brain, like they are very, very complex systems in your life, in your body, that really, really factor into like your ability for your body to even be resilient and adaptable and flexible and all those things, right? And so the better that your immune system works, the longer your life is going to be, generally speaking, because your immune system doesn't just affect things like, oh, I got a cold, or even something that's, you know, crazy as COVID. Your immune system affects things like cancer. So you literally have cells in your body right now that are a part of your immune system that kill tumor cells. Like, so, you know, to think about it in that way, or other disease processes can be affected by them too. But to think about it, you know, in that way, you can understand like, okay, yeah, if my immune health is good, then yes, it can increase my lifespan. So that's another thing that could come from you being resilient, honey. You're going to be resilient enough to be alive longer. Okay. I'm being silly. Anyway. All right. The next thing is reduction in risk-taking behaviors. That's for all my folks who get stressed out and go eat a pint of ice cream, or don't eat, or go smoke them cigarettes, or drink that drink. We are not, y'all know the PSA. I ain't came in yet. It's a PSA down here. I'll go ahead and PSA y'all now. Y'all know this is not treatment advice. It's not medical advice or anything like that. But generally speaking, when you have replaced your emotional state and your mental state with substances in a way of coping with situations, generally speaking, it's not a good practice. So understanding how resiliency can prevent you from engaging in those risky behaviors, because that's generally what it is. You know, even overeating is a risky behavior. It's not as risky as some other things, but it's a risky behavior. And understanding that resiliency can help to mitigate that, right? It can decrease your wanting to go do those things, because when there are times when you need to cope, you're able to cope with them mentally and emotionally, rather than go cope with a substance or activity that could potentially be risky. All right. Okay. Next one. All right. The next one is emotional regulation and coping skills. And that's exactly what I was just talking about. So it strengthens those things work in tandem, right? Like, you know, the risky behaviors and the emotional regulation and the coping skills, those things all work together. Like, they're directly related. So if one's out of whack, the other one's probably gonna be out of whack too. So the fact that resiliency helps to work on both those things, you can understand how it's exponential, right? How it's going to just keep magnifying. The more things that help, the greater the outcome. All right, so the next one is lessen symptoms of depression. Again, this is not to tell you to stop taking your medication. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm talking to you about skills that you can add to your toolkit. So if you are finding yourself having a tendency to fall into depression or symptoms of depression leading up to actual depression, work on your resiliency, because it is going to be an aid for you. It's going to assist you with the other skills that you're utilizing. So if you're going to counseling, if you're taking medication, resiliency is just going to be an aid. It's going to help. Okay? All right. Next thing is going to help you to better manage PTSD. And so that's kind of the same thing we've been talking about. PTSD, you know, that's post-traumatic stress disorder, which is, you know, basically a really traumatic event happened, and now you have a lot of those we talked about the other day, the fight, flight, or freeze, like where you're just chronically like over the top, like everything is just really like feeling like a constant trigger and constantly being attacked and different things of that nature. You have, you know, some people have issues with sound, like if they've been in, you know, situations where somebody was shooting or things of that nature, they hear a loud sound and it throws them right back into that traumatic situation. So when people are dealing with that, you understand how resiliency, because it's one of those tools to be able to help you to cope with things, how it can help. Okay, I didn't make it complicated. All right, and then the last thing is immune health, and I actually already talked about how I boost your immune health, but I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back, because actually we're going one day, well, not one day, so at some point, hopefully in the near future, I got some good talks, and I need to check back in with the person, but I got some good talks going on us developing like some healthy eating, healthy living videos in addition to, it's just gonna be in addition to the videos that we're doing now, but they actually won't necessarily be available for everybody to just get on here and listen to for free. So at one point in time, we're going to talk about like really talk about the immune health and like healthy guts and all of those things, right? We're really going to talk about that. So I encourage you guys, when we get that stuff going, to get on there and make sure that you're in the know so that you can make sure you see the videos, because immune health really is like, when we really talk about it, if you already know, you know what I'm talking about, but if you don't know, like your immune system and its ability to function properly is major. It is really major. Like I said, if you can understand how key it is for your brain to be operating properly, it's that serious. Like your immune health is that serious, that it needs to be working as well as your brain is. All right, that's the end of it. I'm going to run them down as we always do. So I'm actually going to run you down what I was saying, like, you know, the kind of like the family that helps lead you up to and is surrounded by the resiliency is surrounded by. So I'm gonna run you down those first, and then we'll run down the benefits again. All right. So the very first thing we talked about, time, practice, and growth. And we talked about flexibility, adaptability, and perseverance. And then we talked about confidence and competency. Okay. All right. Now the benefits of being resilient and exercising, you know, resiliency in your life are improved learning skills, less stress, reduction in risk-taking behaviors, emotional regulation, coping skills, less depression symptoms, better management of PTSD, and a boost in your immune health. All right, honey, if I ain't tell you nothing today, don't, you know, okay? Don't never say I ain't did nothing for you, because I told you some stuff today, okay? So I hope you was taking notes. If you wasn't, watch the playback. Also, let me know in the chat too if you guys are like will want to see PowerPoints. I was gonna call them PDF PowerPoints, PDF. They won't be PowerPoints. PDFs of like the information. Like if you guys would like me to just have like, you know, a running thing where you guys can log on and see like all the stuff I write down on here rather than me listening. I know some people are auditory and some people are visual, and you know, I be on here talking fast, so it's live. If you're catching us live, I don't know if you got the ability to pause or not, but I don't want you to ever have to miss nothing. So let me know in the chat if it'd be helpful if you had like an actual, the cliff notes of what I'm talking about. Me actually writing them down for you guys. So let me know if that'd be helpful. So all right, my loves, we are done talking about resiliency today. I think. If I'm meditating and I think about something else, I know I'll catch you on the back end. But as of right now, we're done talking about resiliency today. So if you have not already had a chance to, I'm going to tell you again, to tag your accountability partner. I'm holding you accountable to find your accountability partner so that you and your accountability partner can hold each other accountable. It was almost too many syllables. My mouth was like, girl, why? Tag your accountability partner if you have not already. Hit the like, share button if you have not already. Let's get ready for meditation. So all I want you to do is to sit somewhere comfortable, lie somewhere comfortable, whatever is best for you. Keep your neck and your back straight as much as possible. Try to limit any distractions. If it's some that you can't limit, it's okay. If they go off while you are, doing our meditation, then it's cool. Just acknowledge them and try to come back to the practice. Also, you cannot do meditation wrong. I'm trying to make sure I remember to say that every week. You can't do meditation wrong. You're here. That's the only thing you needed to do right. So if you feel awkward, it's okay. Just keep coming back. It'll feel less awkward. I promise. I felt awkward when I first started. The very, very first time I went to meditation, it was a group meditation. I'm going on a tangent. It won't be long. Stay with me. It was a group meditation. A coworker of mine was like, girl, let's go to this meditation. So we go to this meditation, honey. They in the back of this holistic shop, I guess I'll call it. And we go in there, y'all, and I'm not kidding you. They had like the lights dim, and they had like some of the meditation music playing. Nobody was talking. That's why I like to give you guys guided meditation, because I find that it helps for you not to just sit there for 8 minutes and just listen to music. It helps for, Andy to give you stuff to follow along with. But we just sitting there, my nose started running. Okay, and I didn't know, it was our first time. I didn't know if I should get a tissue, get up and leave the room. I'm sniffing, and then I'm like, am I bothering other people, honey? Anyway, it was a whole thing. And then after, I think then the lead person, after they sat there for a while and heard me sniffing and realized it was not going away, they was like, you can move, you don't have to sit still. He just said it as a general thing, but I know he was talking to me you don't have to sit still. If you need to get up or, if you need to move, it's okay. So, because he didn't give me that PSA before I started, I'm going to give y'all that PSA. You can't do it wrong. So, you're here. That's the only thing that matters. And if you feel awkward, keep coming back, because it won't be as awkward the more you do it. All right. I'm done with the housekeeping. Y'all ready for the meditation? Everybody say yeah. And do like Beyonce, say, hey, Miss Carter. I can't hear y'all, but in my mind, y'all said it back. All right, so here we go. Netflix is going to load. All right, here we go. All right, Andy's not going to talk about how to be resilient today. It's just a general meditation.
As always, just take a moment.
All right.
To notice
to give y'all that PSA
how it
too.
feels in the body, how it feels in the mind.
He did not start at the right spot.
Getting comfortable. Just a reminder. Especially with this technique.
We'll go from here.
To just allow thoughts
Andy,
to come
jump
and
to
go.
the end.
We're not trying to stop thoughts. We're not trying to change the mind. We're just witnessing the coming and going of thoughts. Remember that in this exercise, in particular, it doesn't require any effort. In fact, perhaps more than any other technique, we are simply letting go of everything. So there's no need to try and achieve anything. And finally, with this particular technique, know that it's really common to get lost, for the mind to wander, that it takes a little bit of practice. We're going to start with the eyes open, just aware of the space around you. So not looking at one thing, but just a soft focus of everything around you. And just maintaining that soft focus. Taking a couple of big, deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And each time as you breathe in, just noticing how the lungs fill with air each time, and breathing out, noticing how the muscles in the body soften as the body exhales. And just one more time, this next time as you breathe out, if you'd like to, just gently closing the eyes. And first thing, just take a moment, knowing you have nothing to do, nowhere to go for the next few minutes. Just enjoying that feeling of having stopped being still. Just starting to notice that feeling of weight, the body pressing down into the seat or the surface beneath you. Starting to notice the sounds around you, noticing any resistance to those sounds. And just reminding yourself to allow any sounds to come and go throughout the exercise. And as you bring the attention back to the body, just starting to get a sense of how the body feels today. So not thinking about it, but just noticing whether there's a sense of stillness in the body or a sense of agitation. Whether there's a sense of heaviness in the body or a sense of lightness. And in the same way, just starting to notice the breath, the movement of the breath, and how the breath feels today. Where in the body you feel that rising and falling sensation. And remember, as always, if you can't feel that rising and falling movement, just gently placing your hand on your stomach. And just staying with that movement. So just settling the body, settling the mind, allowing thoughts to come and go. Just staying with the breath, just for a few moments longer. So throughout this exercise, we're going to alternate. Every now and again, we'll come back to the breath, but mostly we're just going to rest in awareness. Again, I'll guide you through as we go. So letting go of any focus on the breath now. Just allowing the mind to do whatever it wants to do. So if the mind wants to think, let it think. If the mind wants to be busy, let it be busy. Just allow the mind to be completely free. Remember, the only thing you need to remember is to realize when the mind has wandered. And in that moment, in realizing it, the mind is no longer wandering. And we're already back where we need to be. So just allowing the mind to do whatever it wants to do. So allowing thoughts to come and go, even if they're thoughts about the exercise, just allowing them to come and then go again. So we're aware of the activity of the mind without getting involved in the activity of the mind. And then just gently picking up that movement of the breath again. Just going to stay here for a few seconds. So just pausing, again becoming aware of that rising and falling movement. And then once again, letting go of that. And for a few moments longer, just letting the mind be free again. Letting it do whatever it wants to do. So remember, in this exercise, truly, nothing to do. No need to focus on anything. No need to think about anything. Just allowing everything to come and go. Seeing it clearly as it does. And then just gently bringing the attention back once again to the body. Coming back to that feeling of contact and of weight between the body and the seat or the surface beneath you. Starting maybe to become more aware of the sounds around you. And whenever you feel ready, you can just gently open the eyes again.
All right, how's everybody feel? My eyes watering today. How's everybody feel? All right, I hope that was nice and juicy for you. I like this one. I really do. I kind of like the one where you just let you go off into your brain, because then you're like, well, what is my brain going to do if I'm not supposed to be doing nothing? It's interesting what it does when you don't direct it, right? It's like kind of like daydreaming, but not really. Because even then, I think you kind of actively like maybe kind of put your mind somewhere. Anyway, that's more than we need to talk about today, because I don't have all the facts and I'm not about to start rambling about it. But anyway, my love, I will see you guys tomorrow live at 7 on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, Facebook and Instagram. So if you're on a business page, I'm hoping you're getting the notifications when we share the video so that you can actually jump on the live, because the live is on my personal page. So, but you should be good, because I think everything is public. And then we're uploading after that. So if you don't catch us at 7 and you're like, well, where are the videos that I can't find them at 7? At 8, we're going to upload them. So everything will be where it normally is at 8. Okay? All right. All right. That's it. That's the post. Okay, my loves. I will see you tomorrow. And we will be talking about tips on how to exercise resiliency and how to be more resilient in your life. And we're going to wrap up our week on resiliency. And like I said, I really hope this helps somebody, because I think resiliency is a big thing. I'm going to have to add it to my perspective talk. If you talk to me, you know that at some point in time, I'm going to talk to you about perspective. So I'm about to start adding resiliency to my perspective talk. So get ready. If you, if you're one of those people that actually talks to me on a regular basis, because I'm going to be talking to you about it, because I think it is really a big thing. So, all right, my loves, I will see you tomorrow. Self-love is the best love. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Okay, bye. Oh, before we get off. Don't forget to go check out the sale. I don't want y'all to miss the sale. It'll be over on Saturday. Today is Wednesday, so you only got a couple more days. 25% off site-wide. BlackAmethystNaturals.com. If you like Mother, our beautiful picture here of Mother Africa. If you like our picture, we got stuff like this up there, you know, apparel. I don't have no apparel on. I'm gonna put some apparel on for you tomorrow so y'all can see some apparel. Apparel, home goods, skincare, things for the folks, all the folks, the daddy, the mamas, the kiddos, we got all that. So go take a look, buy some. If you don't see enough for you, buy some for somebody else. Support Black businesses for Juneteenth. All right. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.